Once upon a time, in a bustling village, there lived a man who was very, very rich. He had fields that stretched as far as the eye could see, houses grander than anyone else's, and chests overflowing with shimmering gold and sparkling silver. His greatest joy, his daily ritual, was to sit in his quiet room, spread his coins across the table, and count them one by one. The clinking sound was music to his ears. Each coin was a tiny piece of his happiness, and after admiring them, he would lock them away, safe and sound, in a secret box. He loved his money more than anything else in the world. But time, as it always does, marched on. The rich man grew older. His hair turned to silver, and his back began to stoop. A new feeling started to creep into his heart, a feeling he hadn't known before: worry. He would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, what will happen to my treasure when I'm gone? My children, my relatives, even strangers, they will take it all. All my hard work, all my precious gold will belong to someone else. I can't let that happen. I must find a way to keep it with me forever. The thought consumed him. He lost his appetite for food, and the joy he once felt counting his coins was replaced by a gnawing fear. He needed a plan, a perfect plan to protect his wealth from the world. And then, one dark and moonless night, an idea struck him. He would hide his treasure where no one would ever think to look. He would bury it deep within the earth itself. So, under the cloak of darkness, when the entire village was fast asleep, the old man began his secret mission. He carefully lifted his heavy treasure box, his aging muscles straining with the effort. He tiptoed out of his grand house, past the sleeping guards, and into the farthest, most secluded corner of his sprawling garden, behind a thicket of overgrown bamboo. The air was still, and the only sound was the chirping of crickets. With a shovel he had hidden earlier, he started to dig. The work was hard, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He dug and dug, sweat beading on his forehead and trickling down his face, mixing with the cool night air. He dug a hole so deep that he could stand in it up to his chest. Finally, satisfied with his work, he gently lowered the heavy box filled with all his gold and jewels into the cold, dark earth. As he filled the hole back up, patting the soil down firmly, he whispered to the ground, a triumphant smile on his face. There, now my treasure is safe. No one can ever find it. No one can ever steal it from me. He felt a profound sense of relief wash over him. His life's work was secure. He camouflaged the spot with leaves and twigs, making it look as if the ground had never been disturbed. His secret was safe with the earth. From that day forward, his routine changed. He no longer counted his coins in his room. Instead, a new ritual began. Every single night, without fail, he would sneak out to the back of his garden. He would visit the spot, sometimes just standing over it, a hand on his heart, feeling a connection to the fortune that lay beneath. Other times, driven by a flicker of doubt, he would dig a little, just enough to touch the hard wood of the box to reassure himself that it was still there, his and his alone. This nightly visit became his only source of comfort, his only connection to the wealth he so adored. But secrets, especially those buried in the dark, have a way of being discovered. Someone had been watching. A pair of sharp eyes had noticed the old man's strange nightly trips to the garden. A thief, patient and cunning, observed the man's odd behavior for several nights. He saw where the man always stopped, where his gaze lingered. He waited for the perfect opportunity. One night, while the rich man was asleep, exhausted from his constant worrying, the thief crept into the garden with his own shovel. It didn't take him long to find the freshly disturbed earth. Quietly and quickly, he dug up the treasure box, lifted the heavy prize onto his shoulder, and vanished into the darkness, leaving nothing behind but an empty hole. The next morning, the rich man awoke with a familiar sense of unease. He felt a desperate need to check on his treasure. He hurried to the garden, his heart pounding in his chest. When he reached the spot, his world came crashing down. The ground was torn up, the leaves and twigs scattered, and in the middle of it all was a deep, empty hole. The box, his gold, his silver, his jewels, everything was gone. A terrible, gut-wrenching cry escaped his lips. My treasure is gone. He fell to his knees, clawing at the empty earth, his voice hoarse with despair. Everything is gone. What will I do? What will I do now? He wept uncontrollably, his tears soaking into the very ground that had betrayed him. His wails were so loud and full of anguish that they carried over the garden wall and reached the ears of his neighbor. This neighbor was a wise old man, known throughout the village for his calm demeanor and sensible advice. Hearing the cries of distress, he came over to see what was wrong. He found the rich man sobbing beside the empty pit. My friend, the neighbor asked gently, why are you in such sorrow? My treasure. The rich man wailed, pointing at the hole. I buried all my gold here to keep it safe, and now it's been stolen. My entire life's fortune is gone forever. The wise neighbor looked at the weeping man, then at the empty hole, and then back at the man. He thought for a moment before speaking. His voice was not filled with pity, but with a simple, profound logic. Why are you so sad? He asked. Tell me, did you ever use any of that gold? Did you ever take a single coin to buy food for your family or a new coat for the winter? The rich man, stunned by the question, shook his head. No, he mumbled, I never spent any of it. I was saving it. Saving it for what? The neighbor continued calmly. You only ever came here to look at it, to know that it was here. You never actually used it. It brought you no comfort, no warmth, no joy, other than the knowledge of its existence. In that case, the neighbor said, gesturing to a pile of rocks nearby, you could just as easily fill this hole with stones. Every night, you can come and look at the stones. It would be exactly the same for you. The gold was useless to you when you had it. So what have you really lost? The rich man was speechless. The neighbor's words hit him with the force of a physical blow. He stared at the empty hole, then at the pile of stones, and a profound realization began to dawn on him. The neighbor was right. His gold, buried in the ground, was no different from a pile of worthless rocks. He had sacrificed everything: his peace of mind, his relationships, his happiness, for something he never even used. His greed hadn't protected his wealth. It had only brought him misery and, ultimately, this deep, empty sorrow. That day marked a turning point in the old man's life. The shock of his loss, combined with his neighbor's wisdom, opened his eyes. He understood that he had been a fool. The emptiness in the ground mirrored the emptiness in his own heart. From that moment on, he changed his ways completely. He still had his fields and houses, and he began to use his remaining wealth for good. He started by sharing the harvest from his fields with the poor and the hungry. He used his money to repair the village temple and to help families who had fallen on hard times. He found a new kind of joy, a joy that didn't come from counting coins, but from seeing the smiles on the faces of the people he helped. He discovered the warmth of gratitude and the richness of community. He learned that giving to others filled his heart in a way that hoarding treasure never could. And so, the story of the rich man and his buried treasure became a lesson told throughout the village and passed down through generations. The villagers would often look at the changed man, smiling and interacting with his neighbors, and say to their children, "Remember, true wealth is not what you bury in the ground, but what you share with others. For it is in giving that we truly receive." Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more timeless tales and wisdom. We'll see you in the next video.